I was asked to talk about my experiential art installation in Berlin called Dark Matter. I'm Christopher Bauder. I'm a light artist and also lighting designer and media designer from Berlin. I studied in Berlin at the art school, designing with computers at that time, and that's what I'm still doing today, but I'm connecting things outside of the computer. So normally I would talk about things like that, light as a material, so I'm using light to kind of create architectural shapes, to create sculptures, to create art, or I would talk about how I use inspiration from digital and I transfer it into the real world. But as I mentioned today, I will talk about my latest project. It's called Dark Matter. It's an installation exhibition in Berlin. We have 7 rooms with 7 partly interactive light and media installations, and they're basically representing 20 years of my history as a light artist and a media artist. So for those who don't know me, I will give a little bit of an overview of where I come from. So in art school I was interested in all kinds of computer software, mainly 3D and CAD, so I was really fascinated by what I can do in a 3D software. I can create shapes, they float in space, I can change the shapes, I can change color, I can change the mapping and things like that, but I wasn't happy with the representation, like what you see here, flat screen or my flat computer screen. I didn't like that, and I wanted to bring the nice functions that I have on my screen, like in the software. How can I export that into the reality? And my first idea was kind of this thing here, what you see here. It's an effect in the 3D software. It's called displacement mapping. You use a bitmap, you drop it onto a surface or an object, and it deforms the surface according to the brightness values of your bitmap pixels. And each of these pixels I would map to one of these balls in a 3D space, and then depending on the brightness value of that pixel, the ball would rise or fall. But I had another problem. How should I suspend a cloud of balls in our space? It's not really possible. I need to make them float somehow, or I need to suspend them. And my idea was to use, or I had the idea to use balloons to kind of create those pixels and kind of, suspend them with a string to the floor. And then let me change my resolution quickly, otherwise I have to scale up every picture. Just a second, sorry for that. And also I would need my glasses. Where does it say screen? Displays, where is it? Ah, here, yeah, okay. How can I change now how can I change the resolution of this? Does someone know how to do this? Yeah, how do I change the resolution? So everything is super scaled down on my screen. How can I, sorry. Because I want it mirrored, but I want to have a bigger resolution here. Yeah, they changed it with the last update, so that's why I'm confused too. Click that? Okay. And then, yeah. Super. So yeah, my idea was have helium balloons, you know them as a kid, you know, you love the helium balloon, and I would suspend them with a little motor. The motor would reel in and out the cable. I would have a little LED in the balloon, kind of change the color of that pixel, and then, I would create kind of 2.5D shapes, let's say. I cannot make like full forms, I can just displace surfaces in space. But it was a good start and almost killed me because I wanted to build 100, 10 by 10, but I realized that drilling all these holes and bending all the parts and kind of making all this took me way too long, so I stopped at 8x8, 64, and I made a performance out of it. Maybe you recognize this guy here. This is Robert Henke, one of the founders of Ableton Live. So we performed this piece together, I think the last time 2 years ago, so for almost 15 years. We showed it all over the world, and this was kind of the start of my idea and my interest of suspending things in space and moving them synchronized by software in larger arrays and create shapes and create animation, create motion in a physical space that would normally be only possible inside of the computer or the software. And then, yeah, I developed this a little bit further. Here you see our kind of a part of our portfolio of today. I made professional motor winches out of this. So these are different kind of sizes of motors for different speeds, for different lengths of cable, for different kind of signal. We have also much bigger winches now where you can attach moving lights or laser or screen or LED. And yeah, these are kind of all kinds of light elements we created. Some examples, of course, I started with the pixels. Small pixels, big pixels, and then of course, yeah, other objects, then two connections for one rod, and then 3 connections and circles, and yeah, everything you can come up with. I connected to those winch systems. Here's the big babies we also have, so they can lift 50 kilos, and they have dual Ethernet connections, gigabit Ethernet plus 2 times 1000 watt power on the cable, and you can connect this kind of stuff here, moving lights. Do I have a video here of this? Yeah, here's a video. It has a stabilizer, so even if we tilt the moving light, it will not shake. It can go back to the kind of same position again on the next move. So yeah, this is kind of the basis of everything I'm doing right now, or also the last 10, 15 years, is all based on motor winches, or mostly based on motor winches. And of course, I'm using them for all kinds of applications. I work with them as an artist. I do my own art pieces, but also give you a bit of a background. Of course, we're also using them commercially. So we did a big project for ABBA. There's the ABBA kind of concert they have as a permanent residency in London. There's a real band, but ABBA is represented by the so-called avatars, they call them. It's a virtual reality, or kind of, it's on a screen, but it looks very convincingly that ABBA is actually playing this show. I skip all the making of. Just go, yeah, this is what it looks like. So here is ABBA. Very high resolution on the screen, so you really have the feeling that they're in the space. And we're also extending the space here. This is the physical space with all our kinetic objects, and we're extending that into the virtual space of the screen. So there's a really tight connection between the screen space and the actual physical audience space. And yeah, we're using some of our signature effects. We have mirrors on our winches, so we can move them up and down and tilt them and redirect moving light beams that we're pointing at those mirrors. And we track the position of the mirror in real time, so even if we move them, the light beam stays on them, and we can reflect them back into the audience. Here's a scene with, I think it's 500 of these, we call them pixel strings. So each of these strings has 30 LED balls, LED lights. So altogether, I think we have something like 15,000 pixels. So it's a low resolution volumetric display where we can move the individual pixels in space and at the same time use them as a representation of a 3D shape in space that we can display on the installation in real time. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. And here also you can see the seamless connection between the actual space and what's displayed on the screen. You can't tell which of these pixel strings is actually in the audience space and which ones are in the screen. So there's really, really tight connection between both of these things. And we work together with ILM here, the animation studio, And they did a really good job in kind of, here you see it even better. It's a direct connection between the screen and the physical objects, and it's almost impossible to tell which is which. I don't really have much videos because ABBA doesn't really want to spill the secrets there, but yeah, this is the official one here. I made some secret ones, but don't tell anyone. And you can see the atmosphere is really like in a live concerts. After the first song, everyone's jumping up, people are singing, people are dancing. It's really amazing how technology can create emotion, because there's nothing else than technology, what you see here, and still you have a very emotional connection to it. So also the animation studio did a really good job in making the avatars look as real as possible, and also the connection with the movement and the lights and everything in our physical space. This was always my dream, to get this content out of the screen and get it into the physical space, and that's what's really happening here, and it's really working great in this show. I think it's a good example. Yeah, what's always also very important for all our projects, all the visuals are created in real time, which means we have a 3D software, a real-time 3D software called Touch Designer. It's the toolbox basically that allows you to prototype your own kind of software sketches, and we use it to create three-dimensional animations and three-dimensional patterns, and then display them or transfer them to the physical display that you just saw here, and we can manipulate that and change it and sync it with music, everything in real time, which allows us to really experiment with it. We don't need to kind of create a whole show, then render it, wait for it, load it, and then watch it. We can do that live while everything is happening, and this is especially important for ABBA, not so much, because in the end it's a time-based show, but it's very important for my own shows. I will show you one example. It's called Scalar, where I'm also using the kinetic mirrors and moving lights. Also give you a bit of a background information or a look behind the scenes. This is how I start to create my shows. So there's a lot of hand sketching. So I'm sketching on little paper sheets, and I'm trying to find patterns, but I'm also reaching the limits of imagination really fast, because everything moves all the time. Everything can target anything. So every moving light can target any mirror, can have any color. The mirrors have animations on the rings. They can have animations by motion, and they can animate the light beams that I'm redirecting in space. So it's so many possibilities that you have. It's really hard to imagine that before. Here you see some simple tests that we're always doing in the beginning to see, does that effect really work? Yeah, then we go into, this is our real-time environment here on Touch Designer. We have a little 3D preview, we have playlists, we have effect generators and so on. And we create the whole show already beforehand, and we synchronize it mostly with Ableton Live via OSC. So we can use information from the music software directly and transform them into effects in our visual software. So here's some pictures from the setup, testing, calibrating. Calibration is a really important part, because what we expect, how the room is made, and also how we're precision of how we're hanging our winch systems is not always as good as our 3D simulation before. So we have to match the virtual and the real space, and yeah, we have some calibration processes going on for that. Yeah, then the music comes into that, and yeah, at the end it looks like this. So this show, I tried to compose around the different kind of human emotions that we have, anger, fear, love, hate, and so on. So there's different sections that are trying to illustrate or evoke different of those emotions. Of course, here at the end, the sun, happiness, very simple melody. And yeah, I realized that you can create quite profound emotions by very technical and abstract means. It's pure technology we're using here. It's a more than 1 hour show. And yeah, we toured it a bit around the world, Mexico City, Amsterdam, Zurich, Berlin, forgot some of them. And it's a proof that a show that's emotional and captivating and catching and doesn't have to involve humans necessarily. I mean, of course, the human emotion, we put it in it. We are behind the scenes, we are controlling, and we're designing it. But the presentation itself is purely mechanical, purely electronic and software. So this was just to give you a bit of an overview where I come from, what I did for the last 21 years. And yeah, shortly before Corona, we were thinking we have all these great installations always in storage, and people in Berlin almost never see our shows. We're always around somewhere on the planet, but not in Berlin. And we thought, okay, we have a light festival or a whole light museum, light art museum in our storage, so why not show it to the public? And that's when we came up with the idea for Dark Matter. We thought we could find a place in Berlin, maybe some warehouse or something, where we could show some of these exhibitions permanently and also have a bit of a kind of a history exhibition, a best of our creations of the last 20 years. And yeah, we found a building, but it looked like like this. So it was typical Berlin style, super run down, roof collapsing, and very, very roughly industrial. But we saw the potential, no one else did. They thought we would tear it down and build something new. But we were like, no, this is beautiful, this has structure, this has character. It would be nice to have really clean, high-tech light art installations inside of this kind of rough industrial atmosphere. Of course, we didn't want to keep it that rough, so that was the owners before, God knows what they were doing here, but it was, yeah, it looked like a home of messies. Yeah, we got it, luckily. It was across the street. After we were looking for 1 year or 2 years, we found it across the street from our studio, actually. It was an old factory for making styrofoam packaging. And yeah, we had one last party there before we started renovating. It's actually our Christmas party, and the Christmas party is always a summer party, and the summer party is a Christmas party because 1 year we forgot to do one of the parties and then it shifted. So now the tradition is like that. So that was in winter. And we kind of, yeah, tested the space already, if it was good for parties and how it looked with lights. Yeah, that's me. I was still happy before we started doing all of the renovations. Yeah, then we started digging, and this moment here was exactly the moment when Corona hit and the first lockdown came. So we had put all our efforts and all our money into this project, and it was totally unclear if that would ever be possible to continue and to even finish, and how to get the additional funding that you need during Corona when your whole office, your whole studio doesn't earn any money, all the jobs were cancelled. We decided, well, we took a break 1 week, then we decided to push ahead. We took another loan. We said it's all or nothing. We do that now. And while everything shut down, we built this, continued to building with all the Corona measures, of course, that you have to take care with distancing and masks and everything. We found companies who were willing to work, who needed to work because they had the same problem we had. They had not much to do. Everything was cancelled. And so we started kind of, yeah, gutting all the buildings, and then, yeah, that's what it looked like, horrible. 10 versions of different wall and covers of wall in one room, amazing. Everything full of holes and almost collapsing. Yeah, so why is there's another party in between? Interesting. And yeah, that's what it kind of looked like. This whole area looks like a wasteland. Everything was full of this styrofoam little bubble stuff. Almost no green. Everything is sealed surface. So yeah, it looked kind of very, very rough. And also another problem we had, there was this beautiful wooden roof. I go back quickly like this. We thought, oh, it's such a nice structure. We painted black and it will look really great. And then someone figured out that all the nails or all the screws were rusted through and it was asbestos cover on the top. So the roof was gone. So basically just the walls standing, and we were a bit devastated about this fact and hadn't calculated with the additional expenses for this. We had to build a whole new roof. And then, yeah, we started to paint the inside black. Then we already could imagine a little bit better what it would become. We started to mount the first installations. This is the biggest kinetic installation we have there. It's an installation called Grid that I also created together with Robert Henke about 15 years ago or something. So this is one of my oldest kinetic pieces, copied around the world many, many, many times. Inspiration for many people, I guess. This is a smaller installation that we created specifically for that exhibition. Here you can see it in motion. So we turned the principle around that we move unlit objects against a lit background to have a kind of a cutout effect, while normally all the kinetic elements that we are moving are lit by themselves. This is one of my oldest installations. It's called the Tone Ladder. In German, die Tonleiter means scale. I made it in art school, and in the first year the assignment was use an interface from your household that you already know how it works for something else. So I passed my ladder, my setup ladder, and I was like, okay, ladder, tone ladder, and I equipped all the rungs with sensors so you could play music on it. So it's a musical instrument in the end. These are the original 3 ladders that I made 20 years ago myself, and we put them in here just for testing the size and everything, and then we built new ones actually for the exhibition because these ones were not really holding it well together anymore. Yeah, the entrance area coming along, so we design also all these things ourselves. The polygon playground, an installation I made at the beginning of projection mapping. I don't even know when that was, maybe 2007 or something like that. For me, the projection mapping, it was always important that it's also interactive at the same time, so it was maybe one of the first interactive projection mapping objects. And this is the exact same shape that we were designing in 2007, so I didn't change it. I still kind of think it looks okay. Maybe I would balance it a little bit different today, but still kind of good. And then, of course, mapping it and creating some, we updated the visuals a little bit. The bonfire, it's a huge fireplace, a digital fire that mimics a real fire, and people really sit around it and feel the warmth. Even though it's just pure technology, it reminds you of sitting in a forest around a fire. The winter came, everything looked really sad. We didn't know if we would ever finish this thing, and also Corona was going on, and it was unclear if we could ever open it actually to the public, and if yes, under what conditions we could do that. Yeah, really sad winter here. And then in spring we started to paint it outside black, and it started to look really cool. We were super happy, and things started to look a bit cleaner, and the logo came on. The last room we are installing, I think 2 weeks before the opening, because the engineering was so complicated. A mirror room with mirrored lights, and everything needs to be aligned perfectly to have a good illusion. And yeah, the engineer got a bit crazy about it and built the whole room himself, and didn't finish on time. And then we all started helping him in the end. And then here, tests with Anolis lighting from our sponsor, Anolis Robi. We have really nice outdoor lighting also in all our space, all DMX controlled, and partly in summer with our outdoor installations and parties we map it also with the other lights that we have there. So we're really lucky to have a really, really nice outdoor controllable lighting from Anolis here. And yeah, it's great actually to highlight this industrial features. This is from our neighbor power plant. This is the hot water tubes where the half of that city area is getting their heating from. Entrance area almost finished. There's an OLED screen here on the wall from Philips at some point. I designed some OLED lamps for them at some point, but then they sold the whole department off, and I was lucky enough to buy everything they had in storage. So this is the last of them, and yeah, we have them all in our exhibition. One more party, of course, with barbecue as usual, with all the people who worked on the project. And then, yeah, we tested it, if it's already good for party also in our space. Worked quite well. This is I call him the finance minister. He's our financial guy. He was polishing himself every single OLED mirror. I think it's 1,024 of them. It took him days. He's very meticulous about it and very happy to. Yeah, and then in the end it looks like this. Already people coming and dark matter opened. So I show you a little bit, of course, what it now looks like inside, what the installations look like. So yeah, maybe a little bit of making of. You might be more interested not in the buildings and how we renovated those, but maybe a bit in the technical background. This is our server room, you know. It's a very shabby basement that's hosting part of our server network structure here. This is the inverse installation, and here's one of the touch designer guys programming. Also very important, all these people you see here, of course I'm working as a media or lighting artist or whatever, but these projects you see are enormous teamworks. I'm just the spearhead of a very large team. There's also creative people there, there's engineers, there's electronics guys, there's planners for the technical parts, for the trussing, we have interior architects. So currently we are about 50 people, including the people who run dark matter, and out of these 50 people we have like 32 different jobs descriptions. So it's a very very large team with very different job descriptions, so we can create all of these things in-house. This is the circular installation. This is Jonas programming here. Again, the inverse. Here's Boris Ackert, the composer, so all of our installations are always synchronized with music. So on the first 3 rooms we have a continuous soundtrack on a 16-channel system, I think, so we can move sounds also through the first 3 rooms. So they're treated as one, even though each room has an individual installation. Here you can see the engineer didn't finish the mirror room, so the programmer sits here with a virtual representation of the room on a screen, because the sound system is already installed, but the visual system is completely missing. So sometimes, yeah, we have to find some little workarounds. That's what it looked like when it was finished. So I'm sitting here with Boris Ackert, the composer, again. So the room looks very clean and perfect, and yeah, I hope you remember what these messy rooms looked like in the beginning. And yeah, polygon playground, the mapping being adjusted. Here you see a view into these 2 rooms that are adjacent to each other, running on a synchronized soundtrack. And here's the biggest room with the grid installation. Here's Mr. Robert Henke programming. We have a holoplot sound system in here. Holoplot is a wave field synthesis sound system made in Berlin. It's very popular, or becoming very popular for experiential and immersive exhibitions at the moment. The most well-known project probably they're involved in is the MSG Sphere in Las Vegas. So there's 920 holoplot speaker systems in it, and each speaker system has another 200 small speakers in them. So it's really crazy how you can use those speakers to beam shape the audio. So a bit like a moving light, you can move the audio elements through the space, and it works amazingly well. And that allows you to give a really 3-dimensional feeling to the sound. You don't recognize individual speakers anymore. The sound is like one continuous texture that you can manipulate at any point in the room, at any point in time. So it's very powerful in this room. Yeah, here's Robert Henke with Ableton Live, doing the programming. And yeah, in the end it looks clean. Yeah, there's a top view. That's what the whole area now looks like. We even have some green stuff going on here and so on. That was in this summer when we also had an additional outdoor installation here in the open area that we also have. And these are the 3 buildings we have. This is Hall 1 with 3 exhibits, Hall 2 with 2, and then this one hosts the grid, the one with the triangles I was just showing. Yeah, that's basically the setup of the whole exhibition. Here's the entrance area with an installation. I did for 25 years Fall of the Berlin Wall. I did a light installation along a 15-kilometer stretch of the Berlin Wall, so this is exhibited in the first room. This is the mirror room, the one with the black balls, the rings. These are the tone ladders where you can make your own music, the digital fire, polygon playground projection mapping object, and the grid. Kinetic installation. Yeah, that's what it looks like now. Pretty nice and neat compared to, I should put some pictures in here, like where I can flip between before and after. Just realizing that. Here's the backyard. And that's what the installations now look like. And I really loved, we left all the texture and everything of the rooms. I really love like how this very high-end, perfect like balls against this very kind of moon surface, totally uneven surfaces of the space. And I really like this contrast, how it all works together. The digital fire, stuttering here, it burns. Some people even say it's warm, which is not. The polygon playground. And it reacts to the positions of the people. Also a holoplot sound system, a wavefield synthesis sound system in this room. So it also, the sounds follow the interactions and the positions of the people in the space. Kids love it, of course, a lot. And yeah, this is the grid. A lot of haze in this room, which gave us a lot of problems with the air conditioning system that we needed to have because of Corona. We need to change the air in the room in a certain frequency, so you lose all the haze all the time, so you have to pump in more. The tone ladders, also synchronized with lights, so you create your own music and you create your own light show at the same time. And then we also started to experiment with the space. We invited some dancers and some performers. We did a fashion show here for a label from Berlin. So we're testing also different kind of use scenarios and use cases, and also different interactions with different partners, artists and musicians, to extend the pieces. And also this really nice contrast between the fashion and the kinetic art. Yeah, this one particular, one of my favorites, a bit like Metropolis from Fritz Lang. Yeah, and then maybe also show you a little bit of this, what we did outdoor last year. It's a large installation called Stalactite. So we were hosting parties there and had some DJs, live acts. There's some really nice, we had a really nice, this was Kink. If you know Kink, he's one of the hottest live performers. Like he's playing his own electronic live music. Very, very, very energetic guy. A very great performance. some drag performances there. So it really works nice to kind of, in the end, again, contrast this very high-tech, purely technology-driven installations with humans, with human emotion, with human interaction, with dance. And I really like the contrast between those things. And yeah, we had a really nice performance with a singer from LA. It was beautiful, very magical, very warm summer night. She had it was a really great performance there, where actually my art piece steps back and becomes the background for someone else to enhance the performance of the singer. Is like a frame, basically, for another performance to interact with. And in winter we had a really, I love Christmas trees. I know they're cheesy and they're corny, but I really love it, and I love the traditional shape and the traditional decoration and colored lights and so on. So I was thinking, okay, how can I combine it with my interest for light and media art? And I came up with this Christmas tree kind of screen array installation synchronized with music. These are really the actual trees that we were filming with the drone from top. Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Christopher, we need to go to
That's
the point.
it. I just wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
If you want to find me.
Thank you very much for amazing speech.
Thank you, everyone.